Hi, this is Michael DeSalle from A Plus Tutoring Test Preparation. I'm updating my students here about some recent ACT changes that they should know about. As you may know, I've been known as the ACT MD. I've been able to get a lot of my students perfect scores on all the ACT sections, especially the English section. And a lot of students don't realize that they're capable of a high grade score, but even students around the 50th percentile, if they work hard and they work smart, they do have a chance at that. And a lot of premium scholarships around the 35, 36, even 34 mark for the ACT. So what are those ACT changes? First, there's the creation of a STEM score, which will represent the student's overall performance on the science and math portions of the exam. Of course, a lot of high demand jobs right now are in the STEM field: science, technology, education. There's also creation of the English language R score, combining results of English reading and writing. There's a creation of a career readiness indicator, which will also provide you with information on the progress toward readiness in a variety of careers. And there's a creation of a text complexity progress indicator, which will measure students' progress toward understanding the complex tests they will encounter in college and beyond. So as far as actual changes on the test, there's just the writing portion. There's a little bit more there with the student's ability to analyze a question. So it's a little bit more critical thinking now than it was before. So that's really the only change you have to worry about. So these same basic steps I'm about to show you will be relevant. So let's start here then with the English portion. This is typical of a passage a student might see here in the English section. There's all sorts of content a student can see, but it will come in paragraph format. So the steps that you really want to follow on the English portion really start with the verbs. So what we want to do then, as I open this up in Paint, is first come over here, and I'm gonna just copy and paste this. We're going to start with our verbs, which will allow us then to get right into our subjects. So by starting with your verb and your subject, you can get the basic structure of what you need on the test. So first, we're getting that structure. If we start with our verb, and that will lead us to our subject. From there, we're going to check our objects and complements, especially conjunctions, because they'll change the nature of what's going on in the sentence. The underlying portion is for questions that are a little bit more involved. Here you can see for this question, it's just about whether we want to change something or not. Sometimes it will tell you something about moving a particular sentence or paragraph. Here you can see the paragraph number. So maybe these paragraphs are out of order. So just make sure you're reading the question properly by underlining what you're being asked to do in the question. But most of the time we're going to classify. So that's CL for classify. We'll have grammatical marks, modifiers, verbs, and parallelism. So noticing the mistakes in these categories, like the punctuation, where the adjectives and adverbs are, the types of verb mistakes like person, mood, tense, and voice, and whether the parallelism makes sense when you have a comparison, will do 90% of what you need to do on the test. So the third thing we're doing is really predicting, that's PR for predict, or correcting that prompt in front of us. So whether it's 6 or 7 or 8 here, we're seeing if there's a problem in the first place by reading before and after one sentence, and then correcting it as we think fit based on these principles. So you do want to get a good grammar book to do this, like Dr. Diana Hacker's Bedford Handbook. Any of the editions will do. Then you're going to correlate with your choices, say which choice fundamentally matches up with what I'm looking for. This is done based on accuracy. You don't want to change what the author probably means. and then efficiency. We will want to keep our main ideas and detecting detail, main idea and inferential reasoning questions in mind, because by reading before and after and getting the main idea of the whole thing, we'll be able to answer questions that have to do with the main idea. Like, if this passage were about, constructing computers, did this passage deal with that in an essential way? So we'll see yes and no answers to those questions, and it's our job to make sure that we've done that correctly. So that's the essence of the English section. Now, the next section that you'll see, which is going to always be past section 2, is going to be that reading section. And in the reading section, we're going to really have 6 steps. The first one is going to be to underline here. We're underlining what we need in the question. For example, what? Point of view, passage told. Here, there's not a lot to underline, but we do want to make sure we're classifying correctly. We'll have 4 classifications. We'll have main idea, detecting detail, inferential reasoning, and then tone or persona. That'll allow us to go write part of the passage. That's PP for part of the passage. So you can underline the clues you need there, write your prediction, and then match that with your choices. So in this case, since this is about point of view, we're going to say it's about the whole passage or the main idea. So we ordinarily read the ideas in the first 2 and the last 2. Try to underline each idea separately. Okay, and you do the same thing with the second sentence, and then you do the same thing with the last 2 sentences, and you're just going to summarize whatever you found there between the beginning and the end, trusting the end more than the beginning. With detecting detail questions, they're very direct. So you're looking for synonyms like, where did the little dog leave his bone when the boy caught him behind the trash can? So you need, little dog, bone, trash can, the location, and you're done. So these are more like a word search. You keep looking until you find the pieces you need. Inferential reasoning is more of an idea question. So here you see reasonably inferred from the passage, which of the following is cherished dream Abshu expects to make a reality in his lifetime. So we need this idea. So we keep looking through the passage till we find Abshu and the cherished dream and the reality he wants to make during the lifetime. You underline all those ideas, write down what you find again, and then you're going to be matching that with your choices. Which one fundamentally matches up with what you've written down? So same thing for tone or persona. We don't normally see this on the ACT, but it can be like a feeling. This person feels depressed or sad or happy, or it could be an occupation like lawyer, doctor, dentist. Look at this sort of language. Maybe it's about the past, present, and future. So that would be a historian sort of language. So use your imagination, write down the perspective based on the verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and nouns you find there in those positions, and just summarize again what you found before you look at the choices. So 80 to 90% of the time you should be able to summarize what you found, and that's going to really boost your accuracy up tremendously. Now, what we can do here is use these same basic steps. So one thing we can do is just copy and paste this because it's almost identical to what we would need in the science section. So we'll see that here in a second. So in the science, we're also going to have several passages. They'll be from different types of sciences and different formats. But we'll have these same basic steps. When we classify, though, we're really only going to have 2 categories that we're going to look at. So we'll have main idea, we'll have really detecting detail is going to be 1. And inferential reasoning is going to be the other. So we'll either have direct questions or more about an idea where you have to make some sort of inference into science. So these are 2 common categories that we'd like to take care of here. Instead of going to the right part of the passage, though, we're going to go to proper picture. So we're going to go to write chart, table, graph to do that. And we might see a diagram, a chart, a graph, etc. In this particular case, you have the dueling scientist. So this is going to be more passage oriented. So if you don't see enough information by filling out your charts, tables, and graphs, you would normally want to label axes, make sure you're looking at the right chart, table, or graph, complete any patterns, write any equations that symbolize what's going on. If you don't find your information that you need there, you want to go to the passages you see. And with these, where there's one scientist versus the other, it's good to have a chart and just compare what one guy says to the other. What are the similarities and what are the differences? So we still underline the clues we need, write our predictions, and match with the choices. The same 6 basic steps: underline, classify, predict. Underline, so we go to the right part of the passage, proper picture, underline, predict, and then correlate with the choices. Now, the math portion is actually the other portion we should look at here. And with math, what we're doing is using 5 steps, and with those steps, we're going to be breaking things down in the beginning so we can set things up in the end. So to give you an idea there, we would start with underlining, which is really filling in all the vital info you can. So you would want to line up your equations. So maybe if you have x plus y equals 7 and maybe x minus y equals 4, you write one on top of the other. So you can add, subtract, divide, or multiply one equation by the other, as we'll see. We're going to also do the same thing with any sort of question, whether it's algebraic or geometry. So we'll copy this one again here. So the steps again are going to be underline, where you're going to set things up, like show where you're going, show what you're trying to find in the end. We also have, so it's underline, including show where you're going in the end. You're going to classify or relate, put ones where they belong. We'll also here want to simplify our factor. So in the simplify step, which is the 3rd step, we're going to put like things together. Factor, you'll take out what's in common. In the 4th step, you're going to combine those equations that you need to. Also follow the order of operations, or PEMDAS. And a 5th step, you're going to use substitution. You're going to add, subtract, or plug in an easy number to work with, plug in with the choices, or plug in something actually in the question. Whatever works best. So important to underline those ideas that you need. So here we say something like, averages 27 miles per gallon, gas 4 per gallon, which of the following, how much gas would cost for this? So then you get the amount of miles. So that'd be rate times time equals distance. Get your sub formula, label, substitute, and you would be done. So of course the easiest ones come at the beginning, but they get more difficult. So you want to know your basic equations for the ACT. And finally, there's the ACT essay. It could be a question about, do you believe watching TV should be a right for students in school, or should, schools be unisex, or something like that. So you'd want to underline what you need there in general again. After you do that underlining of what you need in the prompt to answer the question, you're going to really, so you just underline what you need in the question itself. You can then use the thought bubble to say, where do you want to go with this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you neutral? Are you just explaining something? So using thought bubbles can help you know where to go and the reasons, like reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. You probably want to stick with something that has a good 3 reasons or 2 or 3 reasons you can defend. So you create usually a 4-paragraph essay with a strong introduction, like an interesting story that leads to your main point, and then your 2 or 3 points after that. So usually it's good to put point 1 here. Give about 6 to 9 sentences with 3 ideas, explaining that point and why you think it's right. And the same thing idea for point 2. With those 2 or 3 ideas, give yourself again 6 to 9 sentences until finally you get to the conclusion where you're going to summarize what you originally said, restate the points in different words, and then try to expand it to a more important or relevant topic and show how it applies or how it's very important. So you have 30 minutes for the essay, which is 5 minutes more than you have on the SAT. So just 5 sections in total, and of course the writing section is still optional. So that's the essence of what's going on with the ACT right now, and the steps I've helped create to help my students get to the 98th, 99th percentile on the test. Right now, that's typically like a 32 or a 33 or higher. So if you'd like any help with your ACT preparation, feel free to give me a call or leave a comment in this video so I can get back to you about what you're working on right now for your ACT. There's plenty more ACTs left this year. So sign up for one in the next 2 or 3 months. Get started, get a good prep book. The Real ACT prep book is a good one. And I'll be happy to catch up with you later. Again, this is Michael DeSalvo signing off. If you want to get a hold of me, my number is 513-939-9033. I can be reached at a+tutoring-testprep.com or with my email md@a+tutoring-testprep.com. I'll put an outro slide there so you can easily click through if you're interested in contacting me. Hope you have a great day. Remember, tests are just tests, but they can help you achieve what you need in life. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you later.